Hello everyone, I'm Jose Betancourt, and as always, thank you for viewing my videos. So here I have the Fujifilm XT20. I finally got around, after a week of owning it, to giving my final impressions. I guess a review. First of all, I want to say that the experience with the XT20 has been nothing but a pleasurable one. It is extremely fun to shoot with because of its size. And not only the size, but the power that is inside this little body. Now, yes, this camera is small. Look at that. It is extremely small. At least for me, I'm 6'2". I have somewhat big hands. So I can walk around with this camera and not feel like I'm imposing by taking a snapshot of something or someone. Now, the articulating screen is very limited, but it is pretty helpful if I want to look down, pop the screen, set my focus point. The other thing, the dials. I have two dials, one in the front, one in the back. That allows me to customize them. So I have this button right here. Actually, let me turn on my camera so I can demonstrate what I'm talking about. So here, this little AFL, you have AFL and AEL. So I customized it so that when I press it, I have my ISO, and with this rear dial, I can customize it. I customized it in a certain way, so we're going to leave it at that. If you tap down on this button, it also acts as a button. You can change how you want your ISO, your minimum and maximum. And as I stated, I customized this. Let me reset this focus point. There we go. So I have back button focusing. Tap that, and there we go. Now you see red lines. That is focus peaking. That also helps me. Now, while I'm focusing with my focus ring, you're going to see that it zooms in. Actually, let me demonstrate why this tilt screen comes in handy. So, there we go. I'm focusing. You're going to see how when everything gets in focus, it turns red. So, by me yapping about customization, as you can tell, one of its strong points is the ability to customize basically every button. There's some buttons that cannot be customized, like this Q button. But I have a function button up here. That is so that I can change, and let me see if you can see this. I can change my white balance. Whoops. Let me change that back. This D-pad, I've programmed it to do so that every direction has a different function. To the right, activate my Wi-Fi. If I tap it to the top, down here you can see those little letters? That's electronic shutter, mechanical and electronic, and just mechanical. So electronic, if I tap down, you're going to hear absolutely nothing, or you're not going to hear anything. When I tap up again, you hear your shutter. If I tap to the left, I have my film simulation, and I basically use the Acros, and I customized it for certain things. Now, the cool thing about the Q button, let me bring that over here. The Q button allows you to go to a quick menu. Basically, that's what the Q button stands for. So you can set these, you see C1? My go-to is C6. And you can see how certain aspects within my settings change. And that is basically what I shoot with. I changed the sharpness, I changed exposure, things of that sort. So you have a lot of customization with this little tiny camera. I'm going to emphasize the size of this camera, because for what you have inside of this tiny body is basically an X Pro 2 or a Fujifilm XT2, excuse me. And this Fuji XT20 is, when compared to the Lumix G7, which is what I'm recording with right now, I had the Olympus EM10 Mark II, and I had the Fuji XT10. The XT20 is just in a league on its own, especially when you consider that I have this tiny, equivalent to a point and shoot body, and I have the ability to change the lenses. Now, this is not the kit lens. I bought this 35mm to f2 prime lens because I wanted something small, once again, and I wanted something of high quality. And the sharpness, the build quality, the autofocusing on this lens, and on the camera as well, it's the entire combination is just fantastic. Now, I'm gonna throw out some negatives. By the way, this is I'll put the link to the strap. Has a weird name, I forgot, but canopus. Now, it's supposed to go on each side, but I put it on one side. This is a very, once again, small, light camera. I don't need the straps on both ends, so I have it basically like a wrist strap, a long wrist strap, so when I'm in the street, I can hold it like this, and it almost looks like I'm holding a big mobile phone, a Note 7 or something, or once again, a point and shoot. So let me throw out some negatives before I leave. Because of the size, once again, and my hands being very sausage-like looking, getting this memory card can become an adventure. If I pop it and I move my hand, this will pop right out. No joke. So I have to, as I'm popping the memory card out, I have to keep my finger on it so that it doesn't fly out. And then trying to grab it right now is pretty good. It can become somewhat challenging at times. And another thing, I like to use back button focusing, but if I'm holding it, I like to look through the viewfinder. When I'm looking through the viewfinder, it's a little easier, but if I want to walk around, hold the camera like this, hit the back button, and then take a snapshot, which I do a lot with the G7, but the G7 has a bigger handle over here. That becomes a little challenging. So what I do is I hold the wrist strap or the strap on one hand, I walk around, boom, hit the back button, take a snapshot. It can become a little dangerous if I'm sweating, or if I get bumped as I'm doing it, if I bump it against my leg, trying to be discreet while I'm taking an image. It can be a little dangerous. By the way, this lens, 35mm f2, retails for $400, $399.99. The most expensive lens I've ever bought, but probably the sharpest, the best built. It's definitely the best built. Another negative is, even though there's some articulation with the screen, it doesn't swivel like the G7. And so, because this camera has 4K recording capability, it does help to have a screen that flips over where you can turn it around and view yourself if you're vlogging. I'm not much of a vlogger, and that's, you know, a good thing for you guys. So I don't really have to see myself as I'm recording. The other negative, as you can tell, there aren't really many when it comes to this camera. I would personally have liked to have, now I have control of my aperture because my lens has an aperture ring, and I showed you how I control my ISO. But I would have preferred, and this is where the XT20, the X Pro 2, and even the 100T, the F, the S, actually the 100F, the brand new one, they have ISO control knobs. I personally would have enjoyed that a little more. This way I have the, you know, the light triangle, I have control of all of it, but I still do. Just got to hit a button and control my ISO. You can see this a lot. Okay, there we go. Now with my Nikon D7100, it's even more annoying because there's a button over here. You got to hit that, and then you control your ISO. So this is way more convenient than my Nikon D7100. It's just me being a little nitpicky with it because I feel like I have to throw out some concerns. But overall, this is what I wanted. I wanted a very tiny camera that was going to be discreet yet powerful. Now, because this has a 24 megapixel sensor, doesn't mean I'm going to become a better photographer. So I'm not trying to say that. But it does help when you're trying to, when you take an image, you want to crop in a little closer, that's going to come in handy. As far as flash capabilities and everything like that, I haven't used the flash, but you do have it. And let me demonstrate how that pops up like that. Very cool little device. And as far as build quality, it is extremely solid. There's a little heft to it, not heavy, very light, but it doesn't feel hollow inside. And it feels like if I decide to hit somebody with this, combined with this 35mm lens, they're going to get hurt. Not that I encourage people to do so, but I live in New York City, and I work in the Lower East Side. And I've gotten into my fair share of confrontations with weirdos. But anyway, I'm loving this camera. I really am. It's just one of those purchases where, you know, sometimes, especially me, I'm one of those that I make a purchase and I'm like, maybe I should upgrade. As you saw when I upgraded from the Olympus to a Fuji. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm talking about upgrade to the size of the sensor. Because I'm not saying the EM10 Mark II is a downgrade. It's a very good camera in its own right. But anyway, that concludes my review of the Fujifilm XT20. If I had to recommend it to anyone that I know, I would highly recommend it, especially with this 35mm f2 lens. This combination is hard to beat. So anyway, enjoy the images that are coming up. I'll be talking to you guys soon. I'm Jose Betancourt. And oh, by the way, thank you for viewing my videos. You guys take care. Bye.